I said, what the hell? What is going on in your household? Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. You're watching Watch This, where I discuss film, TV reviews, and screenwriting tips for beginning writers. So today I will be discussing a review of the new A24 film, I Saw the TV Glow. If you would like to know more about my opinion, my thoughts, my feels on the film, stay tuned. Okay, so I Saw the TV Glow is an A24 indie house film. It is directed by Jane Schoenbrun. It stars Justice Smith, who plays the character Owen, and also Bridget Lundy Payne, who plays the character Maddie. So I'm going to read to you the premise of what is written on IMDb. Teenage Owen is just trying to make it through life in the suburbs when his classmate introduces him to a mysterious late night TV show, a vision of a supernatural world beneath their own. In the pale glow of the television, Owen's view of reality begins to crack. So it is labeled here on IMDb as a drama horror. Now, I guess I can understand. It did not give me horror, but it did give me indie house drama, a bit of like surrealism mixed with like whimsical themes. Like that's ultimately what I got. So, as we have the premise, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about what I also saw. So, in a nutshell, similar to what was said in the storyline premise on IMDb, we start off with the lead character, Owen. And for the record, because this is a story dealing with identity, I'm going to try my best to not use pronouns. So I will refer to everyone as they or just use their name because it's not quite fully emphasized on what gender is what. And I want to be respectful. So Owen, we see Owen. Owen is, it looks like, in the mid to maybe teenage years of their life, and they're reflecting over how they were bored and they decided to watch a rerun of their favorite television show, The Pinkle Peg, and they are in the wooded area lighting a fire in solitude. So it starts off that way, which I think is a very key element in the theme, and then we start to go back. So Owen flashes back to election day. It's election day, and his mother has taken them to back to school because usually sometimes schools, churches will host election night, and you'll be able to vote there. So their mother took them to election night. Instantly, Owen sees Maddie. Maddie is on the floor, delved into this book, and on the title it says The Pinkle Peg Episode Guide. And they're really into this book, and something draws Owen to Maddie. We don't quite, of course, it's like they're reading this book, but it was just like something that drawed Owen to Maddie. But Owen's mother basically was like, oh, we need to vote, come on. So we see we see Owen is in the booth with their mother, and basically their mom is like really trying to instill into them that it is really important to vote. And Owen is a kid, like they don't care, like they don't care. They're just like, I'm just here, so they vote. And then Owen sees Maddie again. Owen wanders into, I believe it looks like the cafeteria Maddie is sitting on the floor, delved into the book, and Owen addresses Maddie and says, "Oh, is that the Pinko Peg, the TV show?" And they're like, "Yes, it's the best show ever." And from there, we get to see a click of their bond. Owen then says like, "Oh, this comes on later than my not my curfew, but my bedtime. It comes on after my bedtime. I have to be to bed at 10. It comes on at 10, so I'm not going to be able to watch it." And they talk about what grade they're in, and then Owen says, "I'm in the 7th grade." Maddie is like, "You're a baby," and you can instantly see that Owen balls up inside, feeling, as if anyone that's around older people and they want to fit in and they kind of get discouraged a bit. So Owen goes sit in the corner, and then Maddie, what I really appreciate, Maddie instantly checked themselves. They were like, "No, not on my watch. I'm not going to do that." So they're like, "Well, it's pretty cool that you're here at election night." Like, Maddie switches up the vibe, and they become more welcoming. So this then transitions into Maddie saying, "You know what you should do? Say you're going to sleep over at a friend's house and come over to my house and we can watch the Pinko Peg." And that's instantly what happens. And I'm not going to tell too much of the story. I just wanted to kind of give you that coming of age friendship introduction that we get. They live in the suburbs. It doesn't seem like it's a lot to do in that area. So being indulged in a television series would be something that I believe would be like the hit of the week. You're waiting for your favorite TV show to come on. And then also, this looks to be set in the 90s as well. Even like the Pinko Peg, like some of the imagery, it reminded me like the Pinko Peg was definitely like, I would say, similar to like a Goosebumps or like a Are You Afraid of the Dark type of vibe, or even Power Rangers. Like the villains now, they the two lead characters in the television series, they more so was fighting off evil, which was the evil entity was Mr. Melancholy, and he was considered to be the big bad, which I was just like, and even like the imagery, it just reminded me of the Power Rangers, how the villains always look. Every week they had a different monster that they fight, but the leading big bad monster was Mr. Melancholy. They all work under him. So I thought that was very interesting and hilarious. Since we kind of get an understanding of what drove what basically drove them together, I want to talk about a few themes of the story, the underlining message of what I got, and then some things that I kind of was like, and also I want to kind of delve into like the type of film this is, because I really think that people should be aware of like the style of this film, because you probably can get put off guard, because I did see a few, well, I only saw one review that I was just like, I understand what you're saying, but I think the reason why you're saying this is because of the style of the filmmaking. So let's talk about themes. Friendship, identity, time. Those were the themes that I kind of saw. So in this film, we see Maddie and Owen's friendship. And quick shameless plug, I actually wrote a review on this film. I will link it below. And at first, Owen goes over to Maddie's home. They watch the film for the first time. You can clearly see the age difference as Maddie is there with another friend, Erica, and they're talking about boys. They're they're, you know, like they're doing the typical thing that people do when they come over for like a sleepover or watching um their favorite TV show. They're kind of like having these like, you know, just very innocent conversations about the opposite sex. So after Owen goes over their home, over to Maddie's home, we realize that that was the only time that they really had a conversation. After that, they never really talked again. However, Owen made it very clear, like, oh, I really can't be going over your house like that, but I'm not able to, still not able to watch it. So Maddie begins to tape the Pico Peg for Owen and leaves it in the dark room so that they can pick it up at school. And what I really thought that was so interesting about this, about their friendship was not a close knit friendship. They disclosed a few things about how they felt internally, and it felt like their bond was like a deeper connection. It was like, it was deeper than just like the kind of like on the surface friendships of like, oh, we hang out together. But oftentimes when people hang out together all day every day, they might be talking behind each other's back or doing things that they're not really friends, but to the naked eye they look like friends. But their friendship was very different. Maddie offered a piece of escape for Owen, and it wasn't until Owen had the courage enough to walk up to Maddie 2 years later, right? This went over 2 years where they kind of had a bond of like Maddie taping the show for Owen, and then Owen watches it and connects over the show. And then later, 2 years later, Owen has the courage to say, listen, hey, I want to start to watch it in real time. I love the tape that you left for me, but I would love to watch this in real time. And then that's when they start to pick up that bond again where Owen is spending the night over Maddie's house. Now, there's one thing I will say. I feel like they shared that I feel like I'm different after the 2 years had passed, and Owen got the courage to ask Maddie, can they watch the television series? It seemed like they started to open up a bit more about who they are. Maddie disclosed that they're a lesbian, and the reason why I am not using pronouns because it's not quite clear, because even there's a moment where Maddie goes away and then comes back. And I have to say, like, their friendship was very unique. It was almost as if the Pinko Peg was what drew them together and what they needed in order to find some sort of liberation. I hope I'm not rambling, because, and to be honest, this film was like a little bit all over the place. And it wasn't, I think it was purposely done, because you have to understand, like, I'm specifically talking about a specific moment where they are on the bleachers, they're having a conversation, and Owen says, can I watch the TV series over your house? Maddie says, you know I'm into girls, right? Like, I don't like boys. If you're doing this to try to get with me, this, you ain't gonna get nothing. Like, this ain't it. And Owen is like, okay, like, I don't care. I'm trying to watch the Pinko Peg, okay? And Maddie then asks Owen, like, are you into girls? And Owen's like, I don't know. And then Maddie's like, well, are you into boys? And Owen truly does not know. Owen's like, I like TV shows. And Owen also grew up in a very sheltered household. This was not fully delved into, but Owen grew up with their mother and father in the household. Owen's mother was black. Owen's father was white. And Owen grew up in a very strict household. Had to be to bed at 10 o'clock. Even 2 years later, after the 7th grade. So that's like, what is it? in high school, their bedtime was at 10:15. Like, and it seemed like even when Owen would say like, "Oh, can I stay up to watch the Pinko Peg?" Owen's dad was like, "Isn't that a girl show?" So you could kind of see like the dynamic of like Owen's father and his relationship was kind of off. It seemed like Owen's mother really tried her best to kind of like see what's going on with Owen, but she couldn't break in. And sadly, something happens where, you know, I just wish like Owen really had the language to kind of explain their feelings to their mother to kind of see like how they connect, how they can open up. But that's where Maddie came in. And it was like they would communicate with the slightest little language. Um, and it was just very unique. Like there was a moment where even before the 2 years when they started to read, the first night that Owen came over to Maddie's home, Maddie was like, "You have to leave before the sunrise because my stepdad, if he finds someone here again, he's going to break my nose again." I said, "What the hell? What is going on in your household?" And then fast forward 2 years later, Maddie is like, "I gotta get up out of here, and like, if you want to come, like let's go." And that was when ultimately the TV show ended, and so did their friendship. Their friendship kind of ended. But fast forward, so I just kind of wanted to talk about how they did not have a typical friendship. It felt like they bonded. They had a bonding that reflected on their home relationship, but it was like unsaid. There were like slight things that were said where they displayed to each other that they felt different, but they couldn't really explain it. But they made the analogy with the comparison of the Pinko Peg. So it's kind of, it was like we were going from the TV show to the reality of Owen's life and then Maddie's life, and then like we're kind of back and forth, and it was just like in a you done in a very unique way. So to say that they had a normal friendship is, it wasn't a normal friendship. It was like a necessary bond that needed to be had to help them get through the time that they were at. Identity. So as they both, like I explained, that Eddie knew something was different about her. She also knew that she was a lesbian, but she also knew that she needed to get out of this town. This is something that Owen could feel, but was not quite clear on exactly what they wanted to do. So instead of embracing it, Owen reverted back inside and kind of went on with the day, and their time lingered. So, and I hope I'm not all over the place where it's like you're not understanding what I'm saying. It's because, and I think this is going to reflect a little bit of the style of the film. This clearly was a film about finding oneself, whether it be your sexual identity, who you are. Like I said, Owen's dad was Fred Durst. We didn't really always see Owen's dad's full face. It was only one shot where we saw Owen's father, and it was kind of creepy. Um, so I guess like that's where the horror came in, and then like the Mr. Melancholy stuff. But yeah, identity played a huge part. Just imagine being a young person where you live in this suburban town, right? It's the 90s. It's a little different from living in New York or living in Philly where you have other people that may be on Christopher Street that are queer, that are trans, and you have a visual or model or someone, you have the ballroom experience where you can kind of go and you can kind of get an understanding of people in this community. This is the suburbs. They not gonna have that. So figuring that out in real time, I think it goes to show it goes hand in hand with the style of this film, which I'm going to get into right now. A full disclaimer, the film is very beautifully shot. Like, the imagery is very pretty. It has whimsical wit. There's funny moments. Um, even with like just like the satire of like the villains in the TV series, and then also like the antagonizing figures in reality. They go hand in hand. It was beautifully shot. I will say that this is a very unique style of storytelling, and it could come off as being very weird or strange. And I really think that is the point. That ultimately is the point, because we are seeing this story told from the lens of these two teenagers that are going through a very difficult time, in a sense of like, I don't know what's going on, but I know something is strange. I don't I Jane talks about how they, and this is Jane in the article of The Guardian. I also linked this in my article. Jane talked about how there's a lot of stories where a queer person or a trans person, especially a trans person, just woke up and knew that they were a woman or they were a girl, when ultimately that's not everyone's story. If they were biologically identified as a man and instantly they knew, that's not everyone's story. And Jane was explaining how it can be a bit dangerous just sharing that type of story, because then it can make other people who may not have the language to know what they're going through, it can make them really feel like something is wrong with them. And I think that that was very transparent, and then also realistic, because like, even any young person, when you're going through your hormones, you're going through just like trying to understand who you are. Your teenage years are it can be a very weird time, especially if you're dealing with other teens trying to figure out things, and you can deal with bullying and things of that nature, which we are seeing more and more today, where young kids, there was just a young person that unalived themselves because he was being bullied. And then there was another story about a girl dad who jumped his daughter's bully's father, because, and I'm just like, I understand, like, I don't agree with escalating to violence, but these kids are killing themselves, and it's not just having to do with uh a child being queer or anything like that. It's just like identity. They're still trying to evolve as a human being, and you have someone coming in trying to break them down. That's a very just like toxic and just horrible experience in itself. So I can't even imagine, like, you're trying to figure this out and then you're dealing with this other external stuff. So that ultimately, I think, plays a part in like the style of the film. So it can come off a little bit strange. Also, there were moments where I'm like, because this is an artsy indie film, and it has like a dope soundtrack. There are moments where there are live performances, and they're on the live performance, and I'm like, yes, I understand having this in the background, or you know maybe having one or two clips on here, but I would have liked to like have more moments on the film. And also it plays with like the reality of embedding the storyline of the Pinko Peg also with these teenagers real reality, where it could be like very bizarre, like the things that Maddie was asking Owen to do to like really set themselves free. It's like, are you okay? Like, we can't do this. Like, this is kind of crazy. But I think it was a deeper underlying meaning of like just a metaphor of like, you need to set yourself free. These are the tools that you can use, but not necessarily. It's just like it could feel like this is intense, but literally I'm just telling you to move out of your town, or I'm telling you to put on this dress, or I'm telling you to do this. And it can seem like this is like insane, but in all actual reality, it's just like you liberating yourself, and it may seem crazy to others, but it is for you. It's ultimately to set you free. I will say that like the storytelling is very unique in this story. So it can come off a bit weird, but I like, yeah, I enjoyed this film. I did enjoy the film. I thought it was told in a very unique way. I really wish they would have delved a little bit more into the family of Maddie and Owen. But I think it was just more so for us to see things occurring in their life from their perspective, involving a show that transformed their lives and helped them understand that they are different and it is okay. And I even it goes to like, I noticed like with stand-up, like if you ever notice, like this was like the show that like changed their life. Like there was even moments where Maddie is like watching the show, and I think it was, I don't remember if it was the season finale, but Maddie was like crying, like crying as if like somebody died. And I was just like, whoa. And this is like, sometimes if you ever hear people that have a favorite show or have a favorite artist, and these are things that really do change people's lives. Like it helps them find solace with their identity or find some type of bond. And it really just goes to show that kind of dynamic of like art really affecting or having an effect of liberating you to find who you are. So I thought that was very interesting as well. Um, and yeah, it was just like funny moments. Like there was a reference of like Owen was like, yeah, I watched the Pinko Peg again later on. Like Owen is way older, and Owen is like, it looks so cheesy. And when I tell you the show looked so cheesy, it looked completely different. And it was just so funny. Like, yeah, like this was the thing that changed Owen's life. But looking back on it now, it's like it looks kind of cheesy, but it changed their life. And then even like the ending of this was very just like, it felt like Owen went through, I'm not going to say what happened, but it felt like at a later on in Owen's life, Owen was able to really understand more about who they were, and possibly could have been trans. It wasn't fully clear, but there was something that fully came out. And it took a long time for this to happen for Owen, but in the end, the ending credits, before the ending credits, there was a scene where Owen is walking down the street, and it says it's never too late, which I think that was a beautiful ending of like, it's never too late. Even to come out, it's never too late. It's never come too late to follow your dreams, to reshape who you are. If you don't like how you have been living your life and you want to change to really fit the person that you know you want to be or you are, it's never too late to be that person. So yeah, ultimately, like I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Like I said, there were some moments where it was just like Jane said that they wanted to play with time because in their reality with their life, they realized like it just was like a very different like time. It just was, you would go from 1 minute to the next, or it would just stand still. It just, that was a really reflection of their period of understanding who they were. So yeah. So that is my, I hope, I would know I was all over the place, but the film was kind of all over the place and it was intentionally done, I believe. But yeah, disclaimer, you would go in and maybe after you finish, you'd be like, what the fuck did I just watch? Because it is a very artsy, not head on the, it's not telling you, it's like really showing you things. And there's like the candy and the medicine mentality with this film, where you have to like, you don't have to try too hard, but just like really watch it and look at it from the perspective of someone who is trying to find their identity. Understand? Also, even like, oh, and being biracial and possibly being queer or trans and not understanding what's going on. And then on top of that, you live in a very sheltered household. Like, Owen really was trying to figure out who they were, and I thought they did a really good job of just showing how we all just figuring it out, and give everyone a bit of a break when it comes to like who they are, who they love, what they look like. Just leave it like, just we're all trying to figure it out. So that concludes my video. Please comment, like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you checked out the film, if you're going to watch it. Yeah, so I will check you on the next one. Peace.